Steve Nadeau will be followed by Suzanne Stone.
Thank you for the opportunity to comment. My name is Steve Nadeau, N-A-D-E-A-U. I'm the large carnivore manager for Idaho Department of Fish and Game. My comments tonight are representing the department. First, I'd like to reiterate what Jim Caswell and Representative Stevenson said tonight. We appreciate the Fish and Wildlife Service moving forward with the delisting proposal and making the new changes to the 10J rule. Fish and Game Department supports the changes to the 10J rule, even though we hope we never have to use it. We support delisting as the primary goal for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and for the state of Idaho. In particular, the changes in the 10J rule that we appreciate, the term primary causes, changing that to a primary cause or a major cause is a good change, primarily not because wolves can never be the primary cause, but as a scientist, as a field biologist, it's extremely difficult to prove that in a field situation or a non-laboratory situation. And those who are scientists understand that difficulty, and we appreciate the change to a major cause, as there's only a couple places in the state of Idaho where we feel that is currently the case. Secondly, we appreciate the changes offered to dog owners and houndsmen in the state. We've had a lot of concerns from houndsmen and a lot of concerns from private dog owners. I got a call today from a private dog owner who believes their dog was lost to a wolf near Grand Jean while hiking, and that would be one of the first in the state, and that's a concern to folks across the state. So we appreciate those changes to make them a little more lenient. But primarily, I'd like to talk about delisting. Delisting is not, as some would have you believe, the end of wolves in the northern Rocky Mountain region, but instead the beginning of the acceptance that wolves are here to stay. Idaho, Montana, and recently Wyoming have all agreed to assure viable and sustainable populations of wolves. And the Fish and Wildlife Service has also agreed that it's time. The Endangered Species Act was never meant to be a long-term management. The act was designed as the emergency room for species. And once the disease or injury was cured, the species was to leave the hospital and return home. Wolves were ready to leave the hospital, Idaho's hospital, years ago. And Idaho was prepared to handle the challenge of returning them to their native range. Since 2002, when wolves had reached the biological recovery goals that the State Wolf Conservation and Management Plan and the State Conservation Management Plan was passed by joint resolution of the Idaho Legislature, Fish and Game and the state have been preparing for the inevitability of delisting. The state has developed a wolf management program that has biologists working on monitoring and managing wolves and incorporating them into our big game management program. We have developed state-of-the-art research and management that looks at how wolves are filling their niche in Idaho's environment and what that means to the other native species. In 2005, the Governor of Idaho and the Secretary of Interior signed an agreement to transfer most management responsibilities under the 10J rule to the state. Many observers felt that the state cannot handle the responsibilities and political pressure of wolf management. Since 2005, we've worked closely with livestock producers, federal and state agencies, non-government organizations, and public to reduce or eliminate the impacts of wolf depredation and other conflicts through the use of non-lethal proactive efforts, removal of those wolves that cannot avoid conflict, and compensation for those producers who have lost livestock to wolves. We have coordinated day-to-day enforcement of illegal wolf kills with federal agents and have helped bring to justice several people who illegally killed wolves. We coordinate daily and have agreements with the Nez Perce tribe for counting and harvesting wolves. We are working with the public stakeholder group currently and state biologists developing a harvest management plan that outlines how Department of Fish and Game will manage wolves and wolf populations and provide for regulated harvest. We spend countless hours and days providing outreach to the public through various outlets, giving presentations and talks, attending conferences and meetings, talking to the press, developing web pages and brochures, all focused on receiving public and professional input and providing balanced information on wolves and wolf management. We've done all this and more while the wolf population continues to grow. At the end of 2006, we estimated that there was a minimum of almost 700 wolves in the state. This year, so far, we have documented several new packs and reproduction of dozens of new pups. If current trends continue, we expect another 20% increase in Nadeau's wolf population in 2007. These wolves are starting to show up in areas and on private lands where they are causing more conflicts. Because wolves are territorial, you cannot continue to have denser and denser populations. Once habitat is filled, they can only increase populations through range expansion. This requires more and more expensive government control actions and results in reduction of public acceptance of wolves. The longer we wait for delisting to occur, the more I believe animosity will grow from Idahoans. We need to take a balanced approach to wolf management, which means controlling wolf conflicts, managing populations through regulated harvest, and allowing wolves to persist where they don't cause conflicts. This can be done only through delisting. The U.S. government has promised it would delist wolves when they reach recovery goals. And we think that the government and the public needs to agree to abide by promises made. It is time to proceed to the next phase and to let the states manage wolves. The quicker that happens, the faster they become Idaho's wolves. And a sigh of relief, responsibility, and rewards of ownership will begin. Idaho will not fail for the simple reason that we have made a commitment to the citizens of the state and to the nation. Failing would return management back to the feds. It would be a catastrophe for wildlife management and to the state. To fulfill our obligations and promises, however, the state requires continued federal assistance funding to help offset additional costs of the high level of monitoring and management that the public demands. It's time to demystify wolves. They're not demons or mystical beings. They eat, sleep, have babies, and bleed. They're just another animal trying to make a living like everything else. The quicker we treat them like other big game animals in Idaho, the better off we'll all be. Let's get on with it. We'll provide additional written technical comments on the proposals at a different time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nadeau.